Mudflood was Armageddon. Today I'm going to try to prove that there are kingdoms living inside of us. I'm joined by Arturo here. He is a looker into hidden history, flat earth, the mysteries. I've tried to explain some of the kingdoms that live on us, and I just saw this video, so I'm going to play that. Any questions or any comments before we get started, Arturo? And if you want to just take a second and say, because last everybody knew is you were going to Estonia.
Yeah, so the world is a corrupt place. I went on Frontier Airlines, and they sent me to the wrong gate, and then by the time I got there, they said I'd missed my flight, and the most they could do is buy me a ticket back home. So in doing that, they admitted they're wrong, but they weren't going to make up for my ticket to Europe, which was, I'm going to make a fuss about it because injustice, and I think that's where
Right.
so much of conflict in the world comes from is injustice. It's,
Yeah. It's crazy. It's a corporation, and don't give up. Speak into the microphone when you make that complaint. The here, I'm going to jump to the beginning of this, and they'll explain Demodex, and I'll try to get to the Wikipedia pages and some pictures here. Just briefly, remember how long I've been talking about we treat our bodies like a temple because there are complete families living inside of us. And I usually like to use the example of earwax because those mites mate for life, bury their dead, raise children, and what we would call an apartment, or they call an apartment, we call earwax. And this is all a process. So just a couple of seconds.
yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
I wanted to add real quick because to me and to a lot of people, someone might say, is that true? It really, and then Rob Skiba said something that was really beautiful one time. He said, truth can be found outside of scriptures. And a lot of Christians might get offended by that. But the idea is if you want to figure out how to use a new computer, you got to go look at the owner's manual. And that's truth being found outside the scriptures. And I'm always looking for hidden gems of truth.
So Domodex is a genus, it's a mite that lives on us. There's two species. The folliculorum is a little bit bigger than the brevius. Maybe that's why they call it brevius. But they actually live in and around your eyelids and eyelashes and keep your eyelashes clean, which helps your immunity because believe it or not, science is proving that your eyelashes, how everybody talks about how a spider can sense things with its feelers? Our eyelashes can do that. So it's crazy. I mean, these are living things that sleep all day in the pores near our eyes and eyelashes, and then at night, only when you're sleeping and your oxygen levels are right do they come out and actually live, breed, their whole life is 3 weeks and there's always a fresh group, keeping your eyelashes clean. And so, as you can see, they're talking about, they've just found out, and that's the proper use of the word just, that they have butts.
Microbes found himself initially repulsed by what he found on his skin. But then he realized that they looked like tardigrades with big butts. And if we can all collectively love tardigrades the way that we seem to, perhaps we can find some space in our hearts for these little mites. They're even cute under the harsh glare of our UV light.
Okay, so I thought that was going to be the part where the late discovery of, it was in, 2022, and the introduction says, we know everybody's been busy, but in case you missed it, they just found out the Demodex has a butt, which means they've been using it as an excuse of what causes rosacea on your nose, like somebody's nose to just swell up and turn red. It's not, because as you'll see, these Demodex, if you're a healthy person, they're your friend. They're commensual. They're mutualistic, symbiotic with the human body. So they live in your follicles or sebaceous glands, tiny little packets in your skin. So, we can't watch it, and that's what they thought it called, but not if they have a butthole.
Yeah, what about showering and washing? Do we clean ourselves too much?
Oh,
Showering twice a day too much?
way too much. And, unless you're just rinsing off and, because if you're sweating, stretching, and eating organic, then there's not that many toxins to excrete. But in our world today, you can't avoid it. It's unavoidable. So you'll get more some information about them. The Demodex, a genus of tiny mites, live in or near hair follicles. These are the two that, I was just mentioning. Eyelashes, eyebrows. Keep them clean so you can hone up your spidey senses if you are one with the spirit and not big into McDonald's. So their prevalence is, it says older people carry many more, about a third of the children and young adults, 2/3 of the elderly. Now, children are not born with them, but they get them from their parents almost immediately. And the reason that older people have more is they need more. Children don't need as many. They haven't been poisoned as long. At least that's my theory. This is something on your own time. The D. canis, natural host of D. canis and the domestic dog. If you can study this, and if people ask why I risked getting, a platform with 10,000 subscribers to try to promote a certain medicine, it's because it's been proven, it's been working for a long, long time. As much as if you can study other commensual relationships, like that fish with the turtle, you'd understand that the dog was made for humans to be their best friend. They are a natural companion, and their mites are our mites.
Yeah, I was hearing about, animals giving us bad parasites and mites. Is that garbage?
That's garbage. If you have a healthy dog, you'll have a healthy friend. But if you're feeding a $2,000 dog a 50-pound bag of kibbles and bits for $6.75 at Walmart, you are slowly torturing and poisoning your dog.
I agree.
The smaller one, the face mite, Demodex brevis, sebaceous gland. Now, it was not until 1972 that they even knew that these two mites, these two species, were two different mites. I mean, everything's brand new in what they claim in science and that they know. The commensuals we'll look at. This is going to be a short video, just an I told you so, that these things have families and live in you. And how you treat your body is how healthy they are to do their job, to make you better equipped to seek the one spirit God who in his incarnate form is Jesus Christ, Jehovah, Yahweh. You know, and if you're not healthy, you could end up getting your best friend this sick because you love McDonald's.
Well, the question becomes, how do I get healthy and how do I be healthy? And so I would say, as a truth claim to people, fasting and eating enormous amounts of fruit.
You need a cleanse. You need to set your intent. You need to be ready to experience what it's like to miss a meal and be, oh my gosh, my tummy growled. What was that? I think I'm starving to death.
Yeah, you literally go 6 months without starving to death.
Everyone knows what they need to do. So there is the commensalism, which is a long-term biological interaction, a symbiosis, which is a long-term biological interaction between two biological organisms of different species termed symbiotes, be it mutualistic, commensalistic, or parasitic, discovered in 1879, like the clownfish can develop an immunity to the toxins of that coral, so it lives safely in it, while others, and it gets its food from what's left over from the scraps of that coral when they get poisoned by it. So that basically is commensalism, coming from the word meaning eating at the same table as if to commiserate. Anything, Arturo? Because next up is the larger of the mites.
Yeah, I have nothing to say about that. There's a lot of thoughts going through my mind, but, I don't know. Nothing worth saying.
Technically, 0.016 of an inch long, adults, 4 pairs of legs, thin, worm-like. Usually, in a person who's caring about themselves, these mites do not cause any harm. They are considered examples of commensalism, not parasitism, which is yucky. Just see that poor dog.
Yeah, before I would drink hydrogen peroxide, to cleanse my body of parasites and, little bacteria that weren't wanted. But, the more you know, the more you know. So I'm figuring out that maybe I shouldn't destroy them all.
Now, don't drink that $2 a quart hydrogen peroxide that says it's been activated. If it's been activated, in your mind, it's been poisoned. Now, they make hydrogen peroxide for human consumption up to 7%. And, so that way you can cut it to whatever you think you need. But, yeah, if you're not healthy, you need to get oxygen in your blood, and that's a good way to do it.
Yeah, just to tone in on that, the first time I ever started doing that, I noticed my blood came out bright red, and I couldn't sleep because I was beaming with energy.
So living inside us is what's called the human microbiome. It's anything that lives inside us. Some of the places that people, kingdoms, galaxies, different species that don't even recognize them. Some use each other as food, but they live everywhere in your body. The 5 kingdoms, they live skin, mammary glands, seminal fluid, uterus, ovum, follicles, lungs, saliva, oral mucosa, conjunctiva, biliary tract, and gastrointestinal tract. They all live there. Bacteria, archaea, fungi, protists, viruses, is what they call it. Also, micro animals can live inside you, all eating what you eat.
Well, not to be inappropriate or like weird or anything. I heard people talking about quite a bit a few years ago the health benefits of cunnilingus. Cunnilingus.
From what I understand, there are no health benefits to it. That is disastrous. So,
Oh,
yeah. So that's a topic for another day.
yeah. People are saying because of microorganisms, but
Right. There's a lot of people that tell people smoking crack cocaine's okay too. But it's an argument that is not for this time or place.
yeah.
So the Human Microbiome Project is all starting out brand new. Major milestone, of course, on June 2012. That's, what is that, like halfway through the year almost exactly?
Well, excuse me. What I was getting at was the microbiome idea. How people eat feces to balance their microbiome, and the same with the vaginal parts or the reproductive parts of humans have a certain microbiome that they say, scientists say, are healthy to consume. And I thought that might fit in here, talking about the microorganisms in the microbiome of the body.
Well, I've gone over, and it's not like when you talk about one of the best kept secrets in American for the rich people is, pharmacology from stool, but it's been processed and grown. It's not just scraped off somebody's butt and put it into their, on a popsicle stick and go, here you go. That's not anything like the therapies. What I'm talking about isn't the 6 years ago. You can drink your own urine. You can do this and that. That's not what I'm talking about, and that's not really how you get microbiomes.
Yeah, that is definitely what they tell people.
Yeah. Well, I would encourage people to know that pushing 4 out of 10 women have venereal diseases that cannot be cured. So if you want to try to get healthy that way, you're welcome to it. But there are other ways that are, one would be, you're really not going to expand your microbiome if you're doing it biblically, because that would be with one woman anyway. It's not like somebody's going to do the world a favor going like, I'm just spreading my microbiomes everywhere, because that sounds like a bullshit excuse to me.
Yeah, I have a healthy microbiome, so I'm going to share the love.
Well, you're going to pay the price too. You will. You can share the love all you want, but if you think what you're doing is love, you better check your definition of love.
Yeah.
What is love? So there's microfauna also. These are animals that live either in you or in every habitat of the earth. Just another reason, of some of the things, spider mites, cheese mites. That's some crazy things. They use mites to get different flavors into cheeses, and then some of those different glazes and stuff.
Yeah, and the way they make cheese can be kind of disgusting.
Yeah.
And I used to love cheese. I still do, but I kind of veer away from it now.
I was in my 40s before I fell in love with blue cheese.
I hear it's very disgusting.
It's delicious. And it looks like we're going to wrap it up, because this is the one I didn't have a chance to study. I don't even know why I clicked on it. It's some sort of hard to pronounce microorganism that was originally isolated in the 1960s from silkworms, which have been around since recorded history as far as I can tell. Some sort of alternative health medicine claims. This may have to do with a lot of improving your brain through mushrooms, and because that's been kind of a over a decade now long you know effort for me to get people in the medical community to recognize that there's a better way than Prozac. So anything you want to wrap up before we
Yeah, you said Prozac. It's funny because the main ingredient in Prozac is sodium fluoride, and it's poison. Now, just this somewhat connects to the microbiome issue, but fluoride is healthy, but it's not healthy because there's two types of fluoride. There's sodium fluoride and calcium fluoride. Sodium fluoride is what they put in your food, in your water, in your toothpaste, and that is chemically derived. And calcium fluoride is found in rock salts. And considering what you consume will affect the microbiome, I think will affect your spirit and will affect your connection with the Creator. Take care of yourselves and eat well.
absolutely. And in the meantime, please remember that Mudflood was Armageddon, and I'm never going to tell you anything else, and neither are my friends. Why would we? We're trying to prove we have your best interest at heart. Amen. Hallelujah. Aho.